Chief Nnanna and his wife, Adaora, lived in a beautiful home in the heart of Enugu. Their compound had neat flowers, a barking dog named Bruno, and a gate that made noise like a tired old man whenever it opened. Adaora was a smart and hard-working bank manager. She left early each morning, heels clicking like drumsticks on the tiles. On this particular Monday, she was rushing as usual. "Nnanna," she said, brushing her hair in front of the mirror, "the new house help is arriving today. Her name is Ifeoma. She's my cousin's girl from the village." "Don't worry, my queen," Nnanna replied, smiling. "I'll make sure she's okay." Adaora kissed him on the cheek and left, her perfume hanging in the air like a sweet memory. Around 10 a.m., the girl arrived. Ifeoma was about 19, with smooth brown skin, wide eyes, and a shy smile. She wore a simple gown and held a small bag that looked older than her. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. Nnanna looked at her from head to toe. His smile grew wider than it should. "You're welcome, Ifeoma. Feel at home." She curtsied and went straight to the kitchen. As she moved, Nnanna watched her like a hawk watching fresh meat. He scratched his head, pretending to look thoughtful, but he was already thinking things he shouldn't. That night, when Adaora returned, she asked, "So, how is she?" "She's respectful." "You made a good choice," Nnanna answered, sipping his evening tea. But even as he spoke, his eyes followed Ifeoma's shadow down the hallway. A storm was coming. But for now, the house remained quiet, too quiet. Days passed, and Ifeoma settled into the house like she'd lived there forever. She cleaned, cooked, and even made Adaora laugh sometimes. "This girl is sharp," Adaora told her husband one evening. "She doesn't waste time at all." "Yes," Nnanna replied, chewing his meat slowly. "Very hard-working." But Adaora didn't notice how often Nnanna came home early now, or how he kept finding excuses to pass by the kitchen. "Ifeoma, is the soup ready?" he'd ask, even when he knew the answer. One afternoon, while Adaora was at work, Nnanna walked into the kitchen again. Ifeoma was pounding yam, her arms moving like a drum beat. "Ah, strong girl," Nnanna said with a wide grin. "You will make a good wife one day." Ifeoma blushed and looked away. "Thank you, sir." He moved closer. "Don't be shy. We are like family here." But even family shouldn't be breathing so close to someone's neck. Ifeoma didn't say anything, but her eyes darted toward the door. Later that night, Adaora informed Nnanna, "My dear, I need to go to Abuja for business next Friday." He looked up from his laptop. "Again? But you went 2 weeks ago." "This one is different, only 2 days." Nnanna sighed. "Fine, just come safe." As he resumed his typing, Nnanna's mind was already far from the laptop. He is considering what to do next with Ifeoma if his wife departs for Abuja. A small look had turned into a dangerous idea, and soon the real trouble would begin. Friday came quickly. Adaora packed her laptop and files, ready for her bank's weekend conference in Abuja. She wore her gold wristwatch and smiled. "Nnanna, don't forget to lock the gate well at night. And make sure Ifeoma doesn't overwork herself." "Don't worry, my love. I'll manage things," he said, giving her a small hug. She looked back one last time as the driver packed her bags into the car. "Call me if anything happens." "I will," he said, waving like a loyal husband. But as the car rolled out of the compound, Nnanna smiled a different kind of smile. He waited till evening. After dinner, he called Ifeoma to the living room. She came in slowly, wiping her hands on a towel. "Yes, sir?" "Come sit." "No need to stand like a visitor." She hesitated, then sat at the edge of the couch. "You've been doing so well in this house," Nnanna said, sipping his juice. "I appreciate you." "Thank you, sir," she replied quietly. He leaned closer. "You don't have to call me sir all the time. Call me Nnanna. Just Nnanna." Ifeoma's eyes widened. "But you're Madam's husband." "Yes, and you're not a stranger." His voice was low now. "We understand each other, don't we?" Ifeoma stood up quickly. "I need to wash the plates." Nnanna watched her walk away, but he wasn't angry. He chuckled to himself. "Small pepper is the one that burns the most," he whispered. Later that night, he passed her room. Her light was off. He stood at the door, thinking, smiling. He thought he was in control. But trouble has a way of cooking slowly, like bitter leaf soup. It always tastes different when it's ready. It was past midnight. The compound was quiet. Even Bruno the dog had gone to sleep. But Ifeoma's eyes were still wide open. She lay on her bed, her heart beating fast. She had seen the way Chief Nnanna looked at her during dinner. The smile, the slow talking, the leaning in. It made her feel uncomfortable. Then knock knock. She sat up straight. Who was knocking at her door at this time? Ifeoma, came the whisper. Her heart nearly jumped out of her chest. It was him, Chief Nnanna. She stayed silent, pretending to sleep. Ifeoma. The voice came again. Open the door. I want to talk. She swallowed hard. Sir, it's very late. I know. Just small talk. I won't stay long. She didn't answer. After a while, the footsteps moved away. She waited 5 minutes before creeping to the door. She locked it properly and pushed her big plastic bucket behind it. Then she sat on her bed, still shaking. The next morning, Nnanna greeted her like nothing happened. Good morning, dear. Did you sleep well? She nodded but didn't meet his eyes. He chuckled. You're still shy. Later that day, he sent her to buy something from the junction shop. When she returned, he was standing at the gate, waiting. Thank you, he said, taking the bag from her. His fingers brushed hers on purpose. Ifeoma moved away quickly. I want to clean Madam's room now. She rushed inside before he could say anything else. But Chief Nnanna wasn't ready to give up. In his mind, he believed it was only a matter of time. He didn't know that a quiet girl can surprise you. And sometimes, the fire you light yourself is the same one that burns your house down. Saturday afternoon came with heavy clouds. The wind blew dust through the compound as Ifeoma swept the front steps. She worked fast, trying to avoid Chief Nnanna's eyes, but he kept finding reasons to come outside. Don't tire yourself, he said, arms folded. You need rest too. I'm fine, sir, she replied without stopping. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Adaora. Ah, my sweet wife, he said, stepping away to answer. How's Abuja? Fine, Adaora replied. Just checking on you. How's the house? Hope you're eating well. Nnanna smiled. Yes, everything is perfect. Ifeoma made a goosey soup this afternoon. Adaora paused. You sound too relaxed. You're not troubling that girl, I hope. Nnanna laughed loudly. Trouble her? Ah, this your imagination. I'm a changed man, remember? Adaora laughed too. All right, greet her for me. He ended the call and turned to see Ifeoma staring. She quickly looked away. What, he asked, walking toward her. You heard that, didn't you? Even Madam trusts me. Ifeoma bit her lip. I just want to finish my work, sir. But before she could enter the house, a strange voice called out from the gate. Good afternoon. Anybody home? They both turned. A woman stood at the gate, wearing a long wrapper and carrying a black nylon bag. I'm looking for Ifeoma, the woman said. Me? Ifeoma asked, shocked. Yes, your auntie sent me. I came from the village. Chief Nnanna's smile disappeared. The woman entered. I just wanted to check on her. Her mother was worried. As they sat and talked, Nnanna stayed far away, pretending to be busy. But in his heart, he knew this woman came at the wrong time. Or maybe, just maybe, she came at the right time. The woman's name was Mama Chioma. She wasn't really Ifeoma's aunt, but she was from the same village and close to Ifeoma's late mother. I just wanted to see how you're doing, she said as they sat in the kitchen. Your cousin told me where you were working. I'm fine, Ma, Ifeoma replied, offering her a glass of water. But Mama Chioma wasn't smiling. I see your eyes, Ife. They look worried. Is everything really fine? Ifeoma looked down. Her hands trembled a little. I'm managing, Ma. Outside, Chief Nnanna sat on the veranda, pretending to read the newspaper. But his ears were working very well. Mama Chioma leaned closer. Let me tell you something, my dear. You see married men? Some of them have sweet mouths like honey, but inside their hearts, there's pepper. Ifeoma swallowed. If anybody is troubling you here, speak up. Don't stay silent and suffer. You hear me? Yes, Ma, she whispered. That night, after Mama Chioma left, Nnanna acted cold. He didn't smile. He didn't joke. He just ate his food and went straight to the bedroom. Ifeoma noticed. The next morning, as she cleaned the sitting room, she heard footsteps behind her. Ifeoma, Nnanna said sharply. That woman you brought yesterday, tell her not to come here again without permission. She's like a mother to me, Ifeoma said, standing tall. Still, this is my house. Their eyes locked. For the first time, she didn't look away. Chief Nnanna blinked. Something about her silence felt heavy. Powerful. That evening, Ifeoma sat in her room and wrote a short letter. She folded it neatly and hid it under her mattress. Sometimes, when people think you're weak, you must prepare your strength in silence. The storm wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. Monday morning came with loud birds and plenty sunshine. Adaora was due back in 2 days. Chief Nnanna couldn't wait to act like the perfect husband again. But Ifeoma was quiet, too quiet. After breakfast, she walked to the gate with a small white envelope in her hand. She gave it to the security man, Musa. Please, she said, help me give this to the post office lady at the junction. She knows where to send it. Musa blinked. Letter? In this age of phone? It's for someone in the village, she said. He nodded and took it. No walla. Inside the house, Nnanna paced the living room like a goat that missed market day. He could feel something was changing. Ifeoma no longer flinched when he came close. She no longer smiled when he greeted her. That evening, he tried again. He stood by the door as she folded clothes. Ife, he said, voice low, why are you acting like I'm chasing you? We're both adults. She looked up slowly. Sir, please respect yourself. I came here to work, not to be your playmate. Nnanna's jaw dropped. That one touched his pride. Do you know who I am? He asked. I do, she said. That's why I'm talking to you with respect. He shook his head, angry but shocked. This girl wants to disgrace me in my own house. She turned back to folding clothes. Only people who disgrace themselves get disgraced. That night, Nnanna couldn't sleep. The next morning, Adaora called. I'm coming back tomorrow. Anything new? He cleared his throat. No. Everything is fine. Very fine. But in his chest, fear had started growing like weeds. Because that small letter? It was about to open a very big door. In the heart of Abuja, Adaora sat in her hotel room sipping tea when a hotel staff knocked on her door. Madam, letter for you. She was surprised. A letter? Here. She opened it and saw her name written in small, neat handwriting. Inside, a folded sheet. No decoration. No long greetings. Just straight talk. Dear Madam Adaora, please forgive me for writing you like this. I am your house help, Ifeoma. I respect you very much. But I want you to know something serious. Your husband has been troubling me. He knocks on my door at night and says things that are not right. I tried to stay silent, but I can't anymore. You are a good woman. You should know the truth. I'm sorry if this letter brings pain. But silence brings more pain. Ifeoma. Adaora sat still. Her heart beat like drumsticks on Ojin. Her hand began to shake. Chief Nnanna. You foolish man, she whispered, standing up. She didn't wait to finish her tea. She picked her phone and called her driver. We're going back to Enugu. Today. Now. Back at home, Nnanna hummed as he watered the flowers. He was wearing his best singlet, hoping to impress Adaora the next day. But Musa came running. Oga. Madam is at the gate. Nnanna almost poured water on his foot. He ran inside and sprayed air freshener like a scared lizard. Why is she back so early? As Adaora stepped into the house, her face calm like a lion hiding behind a bush, Ifeoma stood in the kitchen, heart pounding. War had entered the house. But the lioness wasn't roaring yet. She was watching. And planning. And when African women plan silently, even thunder waits. The moment Adaora entered the house, silence swallowed the air. Nnanna rushed to greet her. My queen. What a sweet surprise. I was just. Shut up, Adaora said calmly. Nnanna froze like a lizard caught in the sun. I got your little gift, she said, pulling out the letter from her handbag. Very thoughtful, from Ifeoma. His eyes widened. She's lying. That girl is trying to destroy us. Adaora dropped her bag on the chair and removed her heels like a warrior preparing for battle. Nnanna, she said, voice sharp like knife, for once in your life, don't lie to me. I gave you a home. I gave you respect. And you used your old age to chase a girl young enough to be your niece. It's not like that. She clapped her hands slowly. Ah. So how is it? You were teaching her night Bible study? Or practicing midnight drama? From the kitchen, Ifeoma trembled. But Adaora called out, Ifeoma, come out. Don't hide. Ifeoma stepped forward slowly, her eyes to the ground. Don't be afraid, Adaora said. Tell me the truth. Everything. Ifeoma nodded, her voice shaking. He came to my door at night. He told me to call him by name. He said I should not tell you. Adaora turned to Nnanna, who now looked like wet bread. So all these years, this is what you've become? A full-grown goat chasing soup in the kitchen. He dropped to his knees. Adaora, please, forgive me. Get up, she snapped. I will deal with you later. She turned to Ifeoma. Go and pack your things. The girl gasped. Madam, you're not leaving this house because of shame. You're leaving because you're coming with me. Even Nnanna's breath paused. The lioness wasn't just angry, she was moving. And the house help? Was now under her wing. Every action has consequences, especially when we betray the trust of those who love us. Chief Nonso thought he was being clever, but secrets don't stay hidden forever. In the end, lies bring shame, and truth always finds a way to come out. What did you learn from this story? Tell us in the comments section below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African stories.